Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Hannah Levin with Heartfelt Wellbeing, and I'm super excited to have a special solstice interview today with the fabulous Akasha Searcey, who I collaborate with from time to time, and we'll tell you more about that later. If you are joining us live, feel free to participate in our conversation. And if you are watching the replay later, type hashtag replay in the chat and send us any of your questions. So today is the solstice. It's a really powerful day for planting seeds of intention for the coming solar year. And along those lines of setting intentions, of speaking our truth, of feeling down into the deep core of our beings, what our potential is, I'm really excited to have this conversation with Akasha today about the koshas. So without further ado, here is Akasha. Hello.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Hannah. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I feel so blessed and on the solstice. What a powerful day to talk about these amazing energy bodies and tapping into our soul level.
Yes, I'm so excited that this worked out for us to have this interview today. So,
Absolutely.
before we get into the koshas, can you give us a little introduction to who you are? We've had you on here before, but in case people haven't met
Yeah,
you
no.
before.
Yeah, so I love that, because I feel like that introduction is always evolving like we all
Right.
are, right? So I'm like, "Ooh, how do I get to introduce myself today?"
Yeah.
And, I think the easiest way for me to do that is that I am a light worker oriented toward the ascension of every individual on the planet for the benefit of all people here, there, and everywhere. And I harness so many tools, much like yourself. I have been practicing yoga for a really long time. I can't believe I'm coming up on 3 decades of practicing and teaching. And in that path, I have not only learned so much, but I've also studied so much because we brush up against these beautiful gifts on this journey. And I have a scholar's mind sometimes, and I just want to dive into all the things. And by proxy, everything that I have ever studied has always been like first tier. And then my jobs to pay for all those things have been second tier priorities. And I think, yeah, a light worker who's here to help people awaken to living their best life and their potential in every day, not some grandiose plan for someday, but today. And
Yes.
harnessing those tools of nutrition, culture, art, oh my gosh, so many wonderful things, yoga, meditation, mindfulness, and bringing it all together so that we can have this collaborative connection with our soul with every breath.
Awesome. Amen.
Amen. Sign me up.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit. Let's talk about the koshas.
Yeah.
So we have this, um, what would you call it? A
Yeah, we have these we
system.
yeah, we often hear it of this like 5-layer system or energy bodies, or we hear this word koshas, which is that Sanskrit word. And I think sometimes that feels really intangible for a lot of
Mhm.
people. And I know my first experience with the koshas really came through yoga and subsequently that sister science of Ayurveda, because it was through the practices of yoga that I understood that body, that first kosha really well. And then it started tapping into that pranamaya kosha, or that breath body. And that really was when my curiosity was elevated. I really got to this place of like, I know what I feel, and there's not a lot of narrative or verbiage for that in Western medicine. So let me see as I dive more into yoga and Ayurveda. And for me, I also found Chinese medicine pretty early. And as I started diving into those, I really was able to put words to the feelings and the sensations I was experiencing at a very young age that there was no really education for me in the Western system. And that allowed me to start diving deeper into texts that support information on these Vedas and practices as well. And I
Mhm.
do those practices pretty much every day, unless, of
Mhm.
course, I'm traveling and there's things I can't do. But one of my favorite things that I always tell my people who work with me, my clients, my students, is that you can always work with the breath body, and that affects
Mhm.
all bodies, all aspects of it, right? So I
Mhm.
think this word, we say sheaths a lot because we think of it like these layers of an onion. For myself, I often think of it as, if I can imagine that I'm a body of light, then there's this prismatic effect that kind of happens. And we're
Mhm.
tapping into those dimensions of our own prism.
Yeah. Yeah, so the koshas, as you mentioned, that word can be translated as layers or sheaths, and the how it's often described in the ancient text too is the pancha maya koshas. So pancha means five, maya body, and kosha layers. So it's the five body layers or sheaths that we have, and and this is a way that we can really work with integrating our knowledge of the self that we have. If somebody just walked up to you on the street and said, how many bodies do you have, most people would probably just say one. What, are you crazy, right? But when we learn this system for understanding how we are integrating these five layers or sheaths of our experience of being in a body, we start to understand that it is a little more complex, and we do indeed have five layers, five bodies that we can explore. I was thinking, would it be cool if I brought up the one of the graphics
Yeah, and
of the koshas?
while you're thinking about this, I wanna or bringing that up, I wanted to share something that just kind of,
Yeah.
came in while you were speaking there, which is a lot of times we go through life just thinking about this one body. And what I love about the kosha system is that it invites you to bring your divinity into your humanity. And that's how we're having that conversation with our soul on a daily breath, every breath basis. And you brought up a great point. If someone just saw you on the street and they said, "How many bodies do you have?" You'd be like, "Oh my God, I have one." But if we invite ourselves to think about our emotions as a body, our thoughts as a body, right? Then we can start seeing that there is this very layered aspect of our human experience that goes beyond the organic material body. And I would love to see, yeah, this image. This is something that we talk about when we do the retreat, is that sometimes you'll see this image where it's the center out of the koshas, and then you'll see down into the center, or out, and then it's into the bliss layer of union. Or, my word for that often is moksha, which is that Sanskrit word for liberation. And I love this visual. I always tease people that I'm such a visual person that I almost always have like a pen and a piece of paper with me so that I can draw things out when I need them to really make sense. But as you can see here in this image, right? Like we're traveling through these layers of awareness to get to that place of what I often refer to as Hridaya, right? Hridaya is that special Sanskrit word for the cave of the heart. It's that place where we unite with all. And I love this particular image because of the colors. It just really gives you a wonderful, almost
Yeah,
like chakra experience.
I couldn't find the one just right off the cuff of from the Annamaya Kosha to the Anandamaya Kosha radiating out. So this is going in,
Yeah,
and
this is that inward.
both concepts work. Quantum physics, it's
Yeah.
both.
Yeah, out is in and in is out,
Right.
right?
Exactly. So could we go through the koshas and just touch into some of the teachings and wisdom that each of them hold?
Yeah, I think that's great. Why don't you start with that
Okay.
physical
So
body?
yeah, so the Annamaya kosha is the first layer. So this is the largest one, the red body in this image. And Anna means food. So well, Maya kind of means made of. And I said it as body before, but technically this translates as like food made of body or layer. So the layer made of food. And this is our physical body. So this is like what we can actually feel and touch. And we know that when we eat a lot of food, it grows. When we eat less food, it shrinks. That we are connected to the food as the maker of this body, along with our um, chemistry that comes from our minds and spirits. But the Annamaya kosha is really the physical body. And this is what most of us think of as our body. If somebody says, "What's your body?" It's this, the Annamaya kosha. And it's what brings a lot of us to these practices of yoga and Ayurveda, is we have something that is bothering us in our body, our physical being, and we say, "Oh, I have pain in this area, or I'm really stiff, or I want to be able to move in certain ways." So the physical body talks to us and is often our gateway to the four other layers. So we often start here, and we need to get into alignment with how we're nourishing our physical being in order to access the other layers. Do you have anything you want to add
Yeah,
to the
I
Annamaya
you
kosha?
know, I love that you use those words, that this is our gateway. I believe that many of us have been, patterned and programmed for many reasons, from many places and spaces, to ignore the signals of the body,
Yes.
because we think that our body is just this wonderful, and sometimes we don't even think wonderful tool that carries around this amazing brain. And we don't realize that the brain body is much larger than the actual, as I call it, mind brain. And if you can really listen to the messages inside of this gateway, tapping into those 72,000 plus nadis and energy channels that, are connected to this kosha, what starts to happen is you can realize that what you eat has a direct effect on what you think. What you eat has a direct effect on what you feel. And this really allows you to start coming into alignment in a much more rapid way by looking at what you are digesting and then what you're not digesting. And often, as I say with this body, what you're eating is also eating you.
Mhm.
And this is that place where you can really start looking at that, going, why am I choosing not to listen? And as you mentioned, that's such a big gateway into your consciousness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I love those additions. Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing those.
yeah.
Do you want to share about the pranamaya
Yeah,
kosha?
so the Pranamaya Kosha is one of my, like all of them are my favorites. I think it's kind of funny. But what I love about the Pranamaya Kosha and this idea of, it's literally prana is our vital life force body. And so that pranic energy is that animating force that moves through everything in the material plane. It's everything that allows this physical form to have existence, to have all these beautiful senses, to enjoy all of the beauty that is Mother Earth. And when we tap into this pranamaya kosha, or this breath body, what starts to happen is we breathe down to a cellular level. And what I love about this body is, this is the body that I feel like when people are really tapping into this, they start understanding the expansion and contraction that's occurring in their universe, inside of themselves and in the universe as a whole. I feel like this breath body really starts tapping you into something larger. And whatever that is for you, I often refer to it as source. And one of my very, very dear teachers, my sweet Guru GBKS Iyengar, would say that breath is king of mind. And he who controls the breath controls his mind, and or her mind. And what I love about this is that this is the gateway to where you really start to see another layer of change in your life. You start to see that you're less reactive. You start to see that you're more responsive. You just start to see that things that bothered you before, they don't bother you as much anymore, because you feel like you have more control in conjunction with that first kosha. You're feeling better in your body, and that naturally leads to feeling better in your mind. And then when you start breathing in that life force, you start getting more wisdom in how you share that life force, right? How you
Hmm.
send and spend that energy. What about
Yeah,
you, Hannah? What do you think about this one?
absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think you covered it beautifully. I think yeah, that basic teaching that, change your breath, change your life, that a lot
Hmm.
of us breathe very unconsciously for most of our lives. And then we find something like yoga or Ayurveda, and we start to think, oh, this thing that is automatic can
Yeah.
be very much a medicine when we learn how to befriend it and to walk hand in hand with it in our lives. And um, we all, I mean, those of you who have been doing yoga with me or Akasha have experienced different pranayama practices, and you notice it's not just the breath, it changes your energy, right? And so, and it also impacts, you mentioned the mind and the body. We can digest food better after certain breathing practices. We can sleep better after certain there's um, so much medicine in the breath that is about the energy of the body. And when we look at it from a Western standpoint, it's really about the nervous system, and that our breath can be some of the best medicine instead of taking pharmaceuticals, say, for healing nervous system issues, whether it's anxiety or insomnia or um, digestive distress. These things
And
can
it's
all be
free.
helped. And it's
It's
free.
free.
You can
It's
breathe
everywhere. All you
anytime.
have to do
Yeah.
is just take a breath.
Yes. Wonderful. Yeah. So then let's go to the Manomaya kosha. This is the mind made of body. Mano means mind. Um, shall I start with this one? We'll just go
Yes,
back and
please
forth.
do.
Okay. So the Manomai kosha, this is the emotional body here. And it is where the emotions that we can identify as emotions are held and originate from. And I would say it's also more the seat of the intellect, like what we learn and what we feel like we know, and the seat um, of our labels and our identifications of, I am this, or I know this, or um, how we make sense of the world around us. We need to have a strong manomaya kosha in order to be discerning and to have the ability of the intellect and to express our emotions too, to be able to say, I feel sad or frustrated or happy or really excited about that. Um, that all of those pieces are in the Manomaya kosha, and the Manomaya kosha is a layer that is incredibly prized in our society. I would say, we really care a lot about intelligence and mental abilities, and so we also have trouble calming our minds. And this is where practices like mindfulness and meditation come in. And again, training our minds to be on when they're on and off when they're off. And a lot of us don't have that on off switch dialed in to be able to navigate the world with that secret skill, I guess, to be able to
Yeah.
calm the mind. Yeah, and many of you are exploring meditation. What do you want to add to that?
I love that you said, that switch, like you flip it on, you flip it off, because this particular area is a wonderful way to really look at reaction and response. This is a really powerful place to note when you just react because there's often no mindfulness there,
Yeah,
right? It's just a pattern of habitual action, which is often based on those beliefs. And as long as those beliefs are in alignment, then that's fine. It's when something happens in life and things aren't lining up and we can't quite, wrap our mind around it, but yet our feelings are so invested in it. And this is the place where I really love to invite people to use their feelings as a compass and allow that to start this self inquiry of, well, why do I think that? And it becomes this wonderful place of self-dialogue. This is a really, really powerful kosha when it comes to ascending in consciousness. I truly
Mhm.
believe that there's a lot of good medicine here, especially when you can tap into those techniques of meditation to have that self-inquiry without reaction or judgment.
Yeah, powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, Manomaya Kosha. All right.
Jnanamaya kosha. All right, so then we have the Vijnanamaya kosha, which is the wisdom body. And often I love to take this space between the Manomaya and the Vijnanamaya and really discuss that from intellect and intelligence, right? We have our individual intellect, but then we agree, especially in this five kosha system, that there is an intelligence beyond our physical body and what we can perceive with our own intellect. And a lot of times we will also refer to this as the intuitional body.
Mhm.
That space, I often love to think of it as that space beyond the brain mind. It's that thing of gnosis, that seat of your inner knowing. And this is that place where you get those gut level hits. It's that place where there is no doubt. It's that place where there is no fear of using your discernment because you know that you are in alignment. And for me, one of the things that in my personal practices, I will often think of this as a place of righteousness. And I call it that for myself because I'm in the right place at the right time, and there's an alignment there, and I can feel it in my body, and I know it in my heart, not in my
Mhm.
mind, but I know it in my heart. And that's really what I love sharing with people as we go through this journey of the koshas is ways that you can practice every day to listen to your inner knowing and really start to, you know, build that faith muscle, so to speak, with this layer, because I really think that that's what is is being requested in our participation with this layer is faith in our own knowing. We know so much, but some of our internal beliefs based on our life experiences keep us from being able to trust it.
Mhm.
And I love that this kosha really invites this layer of truth and trust of self.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a way for us to access the deep inner wisdom that resides in all of us, that is there, and yet often we think it's a little woo woo or out there, but all of us have had experiences where we have intuition tell us, do this, not that, or, you know, this is something that you are needing to do. I mean, there's all different alignments. I don't think I've ever met anybody that hasn't had some moments where they're like, I just knew something.
Yeah.
And this is a kosha that we can strengthen and build more connection with, more integration with, so that we can like sink into that place, that inner checking in place for wisdom, for guidance, for for deep self trust. And this is the kosha that I feel like is very tied to our self love, like our honoring of who we are.
And
And
not overthinking it. I think
right.
that that's something that's
Yeah.
how you know you're really tapped into this kosha, is that you get those inner messages, right? Because that heart space is connected to source. You
Yeah.
have that alignment, whatever that source is for you. And then as you step into your knowing, there's no like
Yeah.
back talk about what's happening, you know, there's none of this like back chatter in the brain of, well, did I make the right decision or was that the
Right.
best decision? Because you're tapping and living in that space of greater intelligence.
Yes. Yeah. It's a different type of intelligence. Yeah.
Yes,
Not
absolutely.
that'll get you an A on your paper in school,
It's
but
not performance-based
no,
intelligence.
it's not performance. All right, so Anandamaya kosha is the final kosha, and again, you can envision these like here's your Annamaya kosha radiating out. So there's ancient texts that say like the Pranamaya kosha is like your aura, and it's 6 inches out from your physical body, and some people can see those. So that's coming outward, right? And then there's other, like this diagram shows that the koshas are coming inward. So the Anandamaya kosha can either be the most expansive layer that is like the one that connects with all that is, and or and right, it's both
And
and it's both and it it is that like inner spark of the divine, of the unification of all that is, that resides in each of us, and that we can recognize in each other. When we say namaste, we're bowing to that spark of the divine that's in each of us, and we have that recognition. And so that is the Anandamaya kosha, which we call the bliss body. Ananda means bliss. It doesn't mean that you're just like chilled out all the time and like everything is perfect. I see the Anandamaya kosha as aligning with a deep trust in the interconnectivity of all that is. And so we can lean back into the support of the universe, that it's a web that's there to always catch us, that's there to support the highest good of all. And that sometimes we don't know what that looks like or what it means, but we can trust that it's there. And that bliss body allows our nervous systems a lot of peace, coming back around to the integration there. What do you want to add to the Anandamaya
yeah,
kosha?
I love, I think of this, we do all often label it as the bliss body. And I think a really wonderful contemporary word for it is that this is merging consciousness.
Mm.
This is that place where we may not be able to intellectually wrap around our mind brain around it, as me and a lot of my friends say, but that heart space is open to the fact that we are all interconnected. We are all in this together, whether that be physical, whether that be in another plane, whatever those layers are. Maybe that's each breath, right?
Hmm.
Maybe it's the fact that we all have these food bodies. Maybe it's the fact that we all have these brains. Maybe it's the fact that we're all learning to love ourselves and trust our intuition. But this merging is really this place where all of those koshic layers come together, and we recognize that everyone is having their own experience, but in that we are united in one. And beyond that, and I think that what I love about Anandamaya Kosha and this idea of bliss is that I always hear Sadhguru, if you're familiar with Sadhguru, he's such a fun teacher because he's very tangible. And I was sitting with him one time and he was giving a lecture on energy. And he was talking about how everyone wants to be high on life. And he just got really quiet and he goes, "Look at me. I'm high right now." And it just made me laugh because he's sitting in his state of alignment in total bliss, but here he is merging with everyone in the room. And we have that same ability because that is the space of connection beyond mind, beyond self. And I believe that comes from the heart. And
Yeah.
I that's one of the reasons I love this image, is because at the finish of it, there is this little heart, because it's through that, you heard me use that word hridaya. It's through that cave of the heart that we all step into collective consciousness, and we realize that we are in this together. And
Yeah.
what I love about the koshas is that it doesn't matter where you are on your journey with them. It's the fact that we all have them and they're constantly collaborating together, individually and collectively. And I think you said it beautifully when you said there is this greater web, and we are all trusting in the weaving of it together.
Mm. Yeah. And we're all vital parts of it too. That
Absolutely.
we're, our participation is requested.
Yes. Yes.
If we're here, show up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope this has been really helpful for those of you watching to learn a little bit about the koshas. And so Akasha and I have a really cool opportunity coming up, which is that we are leading a New Year's retreat on the koshas. January
Yeah.
2nd through the 8th. And it's online, and we're super excited about it. Um, it's really we're looking at, so it's a week long. We have like an introduction day, and then we are dive into one kosha per day for 5 days, and then we have a closing day. And we're really looking at diving deeper through practices. We have a workbook, and Akasha teaches Kundalini yoga for us to really be accessing the energetic as well as the physical, mental, spiritual, all the koshas in our practices. And there's cooking videos. We have a whole recipe book, and we'll meet every day online. What do you want to say about it?
Yeah, I think I was just looking at the cookbook again today, and I just think that's such a treat. And the new videos that you've added with cooking, I mean, like, there's just so many amazing things. The Kundalini practices, we have the opportunity for you to grab a group coaching call with Hannah and with myself. You also have evening meditations that will be happening to support you as you take this time of holding space for yourself. And I I just love these practices. Kundalini yoga is this technology of consciousness, and it allows us to really work with these layers of the body while we support ourselves in this container of this retreat. And I know that just from the participants last year, the way they felt before and after, they did feel elevated. They felt lifted up. And what was beautiful is that they did that, right? They did that by studying these koshas, by learning more about themselves and creating this container for their consciousness. And it's such a gift to get to work with you, Hannah, and to get to share these practices that I practice all the time. And that I know for me, without these practices, I would be in a much different place.
Yes. Me too. I was just gonna say, it's awesome that we collaborate on this because we both have a rich body of knowledge, but with kind of different slants on things, and different backgrounds. We have
Hmm.
studied in very different ways, and I feel like from that we're able to offer a lot to the participants. So it's not just one person's viewpoint, but like, how is this shown up in your life, and how is this applied, or these pieces. And so you have access to both of us for this week, which is pretty amazing. And it's an awesome opportunity to really start the year intentionally, and to, as Akasha said, start elevated. Like, it really does help you align with who you want to be this year, and what you can do. Gives you lots of tools, and it's a way to really honor the beginning of a new year and give yourself an amazing gift. So I'll be posting the link with this video so that you can check out um, our offer there, and I hope you'll sign up. I hope you'll join us. And looks like somebody in the chat says, I'm so excited to do this retreat again. It's amazing.
It is amazing. It's so true. And I love that you brought up that we're coming from two different viewpoints, even though we are within the same realm of knowledge, but it's that reality, that perspective is everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I don't know about for you, but in my life, I've heard things from one teacher, and then I've had another teacher say the same thing, but in a slightly different way. And it's just resonated on another level. And I think when you get to work with two teachers who are in alignment in different ways, how they got there, but then they're in alignment with each other, I think that's a pretty rare thing.
Yeah.
And to be able to have that is just, I think it's a really cool tool to start your year and to dive into what is it that you desire to create from the heart.
Yes. Perfectly said. So we invite you all to join us. We'll be launching January 2nd. Yeah.
January 2nd. Yeah,
Well,
and solstice blessings to everyone, and thank you
yes.
again so much, Hannah, for the opportunity to be here. And I'm so excited to take this elevating journey with you again this year.
Yes, I'm excited too. I'm excited we get to begin the new year together, and with this intention, and time set aside to really honor setting the stage for the rest of the year. So
Setting the stage for the
thank
rest of the
you.
year. And I think with everything that's been going on the last couple of years, we have begun to realize the importance of setting the stage
Yes.
from the seat of self. That's really the value that you can really cultivate through this retreat experience, is understanding that even if you have your work day, you're still carving out a certain amount of time for yourself every day. And then everything you do have access to replays. So if the schedule isn't in alignment, but you still want to do it, you've got those replays, you've got the booklet, the workbook is gorgeous. And yeah, I hope you'll join
Yeah.
us.
You put so much into that. There's little pictures of Akasha doing all the Kundalini poses, and it's amazing. It should probably be sold as a book on its own.
Ah, you're so awesome. I had a lot of fun with that because I was
Amazing.
thinking of when I first started doing Kundalini yoga and my teacher would tell me something and I couldn't find it in a book.
Mm,
Or on Google, there would be like the school of Google is not always
right.
the best school. There would be like 5 different variations. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make sure that it's very clear so that if you want to continue the practices afterwards as the technology that they are, it's clear that it's congruent. That's really
Yes.
important to me.
Yeah.
So I love that you picked up on
Yeah. So this week-long experience is like a transformational course, basically, of experience, of integration, and of learning through all the koshas. So hope you'll join us. Akasha and I will be so grateful to see you. And we wish you all a happy solstice. And we'll see you all soon. Bye.
that. Blessings.